Okay, well, thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you for sharing your work with us. Gabe, I'll start with you. So, we just want to talk a little bit about spare parts. So, can you tell us a little bit about how this project came together and your part in it, and just what inspired you to write this story?
Yeah, well, I went to a school in Seattle for mainly VFX and 3D animation, anything Pixar, and we had reached the end of the year, and we needed a story to make into a movie, and I had written a story when I was 14 years old about a little robot that finds his friend in a little shack and threw it on the board, and I didn't even pitch it as like the thing that we were going to make. I pitched something about lobsters. But someone else in my class picked it off the board, pitched it themselves, and said that that was something that spoke to them as an artist. And I was like, oh, we should do it. Yeah, I mean, everything just kind of came together in the end there. But I had a great team of about 6 people working on it, and they did amazing. Everyone executed artistically just very, very well. So yeah.
Yeah, it seems to follow that Pixar strategy where every story has to have a heart to it and to.
Yeah, our reference was Marriage Story and Up. We just watched that over and over until we figured it out, something at least. But really, it came down to the music, which was given to us for free by. I put an ad out on Facebook, so if anyone needs good music, Facebook is a really good place to go to. And this guy had a whole we had so many people just from like stills from our film that we had made, and this guy had like Pixar level like music, and I said I can't pay you anything, and he didn't care. He said, well, let me watch it, and he watched it, and Lee ran. He was like, I'll do it. Like, absolutely. And so we collaborated, and I have to give the credit for how much heart is in it to him, because without it, we were kind of dead in the water. So
yeah, the music adds a lot to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, the animation is just outstanding, just the
Thank you.
way it's rendered, and then, that having that story just really brings it all together.
Yeah, it was, I had the fortune of animating the whole thing and building with this. We don't have like a house or anything. We have to build the house, and all the grass and the trees and everything. And as far as like how a character moves, momentum and things like that have to be coded and built into a character that you make. So it's really cool to see everyone's work as far as the stylization of everything is. I'm so happy that you all get to see that, because everyone that worked on that film worked so very hard on it. So
yeah, and originally it was supposed to be a shorter film, right?
Yeah. So it was our deliverable was a 1-minute short, and that's really hard to have 5 locations and have a 1-minute short. So as I controlled the animation, the camera movement, the editing, it kind of just kept getting longer and longer, until we sat with our professor, and he watched our rough cut, and it was about like 6 minutes long, and he sat through it and finally said, oh yeah, that's great, it's a little long, what is that, 1:30? And I was, ooh. It's good. I think it's 1:30. It's really good. It was really great. We had a lot of people were a little concerned that it was a lot longer, that we wouldn't be able to get it rendered. But I was very proud of the rest of my team that they said, we don't want to cut a 1-minute version of this. We're going to stick to it. We're going to come in extra hours. We're going to put in more work. And we ended up making something really, really great. We just won the Seattle Film Festival for animation with it, so we're really happy to be at the Mint.
Yeah, congrats.
So it was really great. So super, just so proud of all of the artists that worked on it. They're amazing artists. So
yeah. I agree. Awesome. Well, TJ and Jad, so Battersea. You told us a little bit at the beginning about how everything came together. I remember in your press materials you said something about your casting process that was kind of unique. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because the performances are so strong. Obviously, it's a very performance-driven film.
Yeah.
So what went into that?
Yeah, it was a long, arduous process. I mean, obviously the movie's very character-driven, and for us, we weren't going to do it unless we found people that we thought could pull off these really nuanced, complex performances, and it's a lot easier said than done, because, this script on the surface could be kind of corny, so you needed people that were going to find the subterranean layers to it, and we had a very, very extensive search to find our people. I mean, the first thing we did, obviously, that you do as a filmmaker in the spirit of trying to save money is like, could we find local talent?
Yeah.
So we were looking, we didn't even have a location yet, so we were looking local to Ohio, where I'm from, and local to North Carolina, where Jad is from. And that didn't pan out, so we opened it up nationwide and ended up, I think we had over 700 audition tapes that I ended up going through, and found Jesse, who plays Les, he's from LA, and Nancy, who plays Lou, is from New York. So we were on each coast, and we did some screen tests, all via Zoom, and then we just rehearsed the hell out of it. And they had such great chemistry. They look alike, which was, I mean, that piece of it is such a headache to cast a brother and a sister, because there were a couple times where I thought, like, oh, this person could work, but they look nothing alike. Nancy's pale as a ghost, so we couldn't have like a Roman tanned god as her counterpart. So, yeah, really arduous casting, and I'm so happy that we ended up with them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So with rehearsals, what do you think your ratio was in terms of your shooting time to your rehearsal time?
Oh God, I mean, we rehearsed 3 months every week for 3 months leading up to it ish, and then our production was 13 days. So it was a dead sprint. So we needed that rehearsal time, and then we flew out 2 weeks before the production started. And we were in the space. The house was empty. So we got to do some on-set rehearsals, get some blocking down, get a feel for the space. So, yeah.
Okay. And so do you two have a theatrical background or a directing background? Because you really pulled the best out of these actors.
No. Short answer is no.
So where is your primary creative specialty?
Well, like, as I mentioned, TJ and I met in a writing graduate. We both got our MFA in creative writing. He's primarily a poet. I was writing essays.
Okay.
And so when we were coming up with this idea, that was sort of, we always knew we wanted it to be, for better or worse, like dialogue heavy. We wanted to really like test ourselves and see if we could make something compelling that, not only one location, but, 2 people sitting down talking, which is an extremely hard thing to do. I mean, we worked on it, like, probably in earnest. We worked on the script for probably, like, this version of it. I mean, there were many, many versions, but this version was probably like 3 or 4 years. And we're very hard on ourselves and each other. So, just, and again, we're remote, or we don't live in the same city, so it's, we're sending drafts back and forth. We're talking on the phone a lot. Our partners can attest to, we're basically, it's like a long distance relationship. But yeah, I mean, long story short, like, yeah, we didn't have any connections. We didn't know anybody. We just knew we were writers and we loved film, and we primarily love films like this. We were sort of trying to aspire to the films we love, which are dialogue heavy. Yeah.
What are some of those influences?
Like a lot of the Linklater stuff,
Like Waking Life and.
Yeah, or like the Before series. Yeah, Kelly Reichardt. Those kinds of films where nothing really happens. Where just you infer all this rich history based on these conversations. So yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about the dialogue a little bit, because something I noticed about it is that it seems as though there's some definite core ideas here, and there's some core narrative elements that you need to get across. But the way that you crafted it is really, is extremely well done, because you take those things that are like the golden nuggets, so to speak, the things that you really want to get across, and you kind of surround them with other dialogue, so that you don't go directly to it. And that was really, I was really impressed by that, and I kept seeing that happen over and over as the film went on. And it's also extremely well paced, because if you have a really dialogue heavy film and the dialogue goes on too long, then it's like it's hitting you over the head, and you lose touch with it. And it was punctuated, the scenes were punctuated and timed just right, so it's like your attention doesn't drift off.
Well, that's the best compliment I think we get, because we weren't convinced. Yeah, we weren't convinced that we had done a good job at all. Like when you edit a film, shoot a film, edit it, we watched it 350 times, and so you kind of become blind to it, and you don't know if it's paced correctly. I mean, it's like when you say the same word over and over again, it sounds like a different language, So it's like by watch 300, you're just like, is this? I don't even know. So thank you for saying. I mean, I would say one thing about the structure, which was we wanted these two conversations to complement each other, like in the sense that these two people haven't seen each other in a long time. So that first conversation is we're on the surface, and we're all these things, all these differences and things that they disagree about deep down, they can joke about and laugh about. But we wanted those things to like be weaponized in that second conversation, So thank you for noticing that they.
Yeah.
We tried to knit them together as well as we could, but.
Yeah, it seems like there's the more trivial conversation, and then it just sort of blossoms, like this thing that that wanted to comes out, and then that ends, and then it's like a chapter closing, and it's punctuated by things like the pizza guy pulling up, or a cell phone going off, something like that. So it's almost like saying, time to turn the page on this part of it. I really like that about it.
Yeah, I mean, we, like Jad said, we're writers first and foremost, and that's where we knew we had as much time as we wanted. So maybe this version of the script is 3 or 4 years, but all in, I mean, we've been working pretty diligently on this just the script writing process was 7 or 8, and I don't even know that when we were writing it, that we thought we were actually ever gonna make it. Until we got it to a place where we were finally really happy with it, and then it felt like we had invested so much time in it that we had to figure out how the hell to make a feature film with like no industry connections. And we got really lucky on that front too. But yeah,
that's great. I admire your courage in having a goal and setting out and making that happen. So you had this vision, you had to get out, and that's great. That that it takes a lot of courage. So does anyone in the audience have any questions for any of our filmmakers? Yeah.
I loved y'all's lighting, the bedroom scene. That lighting was so amazing. And the campfire, you had the faces lit so well. Did you use any additional lighting or just campfire? What'd you do?
yeah, we had additional lighting for the.
Well, we did. I mean, we did keep a fire going.
It was a real fire. Yeah, it was a real fire. It was very minimal. I think we had. The one backlight which you can hardly see across the back of the frame, and then it was just a little box that was near the fire that we were doing some light from underneath. Yeah.
Our DP was our DP was also he gaffed for many years, and so he was sort of a jack of all trades. So he was really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, the lighting, yeah.
Anything that looks good, we can take no.
Right.
We can take no credit.
Okay. Any more questions here? Yep, in the back.
I love how this film beautifully portrays the complicated, sometimes really painful relationship between siblings. How do your own siblings feel about this film?
I got my sisters right here. Could you answer that? Sure. No, it's the first time that they've seen it, so I probably need to process it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, you know, as most creative endeavors, it's an amalgamation of everyone's, you know, TJ, me, our co-director, John. I mean, everybody has, that was sort of the one thing that we had hoped would resonate, was that everybody could identify with some aspect of it, because most of us have siblings and parents, and
It was also a good way not to get in trouble, because we could just say that was Jad's.
Yeah.
That was Jad's part.
right, yeah. We're very strategic, and cowardly.
Okay. Yep, in the back there.
For either one of you guys, both films, what was the most challenging part about getting this project off the ground and the production process? I think you talked a little bit about some of the rendering, but is there anything you'd like to share with the filmmakers who understand how difficult this process can be?
Yeah, with you know, something with 3D animation, every brushstroke is a decision that has to be made by 6, 7 people. So I think probably the hardest part is getting people on board with what you want to do. That and time restraints and rendering, it wasn't too much of an issue. All of our backgrounds are matte paintings, so we were able to just paint. We had a brilliant artist that could paint anything, and she painted all our matte paintings so we can get rid of that distance that our computer has to generate picture. But really it is just about decision making and making sure that you're sharing a vision with 6 other people, and how do you tell a cohesive story, really. So yeah, that's kind of the thing.
You know, for us, we're artists first and foremost, but when you're making a project like this, you also have to be a business person, which we are very much not. So we had to get a little more comfortable with that side of things, and also, as you know, not rich men, we had to figure out how to come up with a, you know, you look at a movie like this and you think, well, it's just 2 people talking, and we had a lot of people that worked for free. Our composer worked for free, our DP worked for free, just because they believed in the script, which was really our only currency. We couldn't show people a reel. All we had was a script and say, like, please believe in us. So yeah, and you know, we're also not people that are really comfortable. You know, we've gone our whole lives trying not to ask people for favors, and when you're making a movie, it's constantly asking people for favors. So, you know, getting more comfortable with the business side of things, getting more comfortable being vulnerable about what we didn't know and what we needed help with, and that sort of thing.
I'll just say quickly, a lot of it is luck. I mean, I was just sitting here thinking about that, but also I don't want to sell short how hard we worked. And there were many opportunities to stop, and I mean, we like survived COVID and so many delays, and you know, we were talking about casting. Our male lead we'd been with him for 7 years, like as we were writing, and a month and a half before the shoot, he like couldn't do it. He had to drop out.
Like, we had rewritten. He's an actor.
Yeah, he's a butcher.
But
yeah,
he's also a butcher. So
we had written this whole thing for him.
The script basically for him.
And he had to drop out, and so we, you know, it would have been so easy to just say, like, we can't do this, because it was, you know, it was already hard enough. So
Yeah, that's the thing that I found about filmmaking too, and what's seen with other filmmakers, is that there's so many opportunities like that where nobody would question you if you just said, this is too much, we gotta wait a year, we gotta wait 5 years, we gotta take a break. Every single person would say that makes sense. You gotta take your time, you know, do it right. There's nobody really saying, no, you have to do this right now.
nobody
Like,
would
you
have
have-
noticed if we had stopped.
like
Nobody would have.
there's nobody.
noticed or
It's
cared.
just you that's got that attitude. So only you know that why, the why of why it's so important to make that film. So yeah, there comes a point where you've just got to do it somehow with what you've got, or you know, get lucky, or take that combination of hard work and luck and you know, and just push forward. Yes, Tyler.
This is the one. This is the baby. Yeah, this is the baby.
2 cats and a dog between them.
Yeah. Yes.
How did you teach yourself to be filmmakers? So obviously you taught yourself how to write scripts. You had some writing background, not real related to filmmaking. How did you teach yourself to become filmmakers?
A lot of mistakes. Just the hard way is how we did. Like making absolute fools of ourselves, and you know, even up to the like weeks before we were shooting. You know, like when we were pulling the crew together, we were talking to our sound guy, and he was asking us questions, and we were like, I forget the question he asked, but he
asked if we had a script supervisor.
script supervisor, and we said, what's that?
What's that? So I watched 200 hours of YouTube videos about script supervising. Got a binder and did it.
Yeah, we just did everything ourselves. I mean, it was truly awful.
And we had, truly our, thanks. You know, we had a really experienced crew. So our DP, helped us in some of the direction. And we also had, our co-director went to film school. So he was able to help with like the nuts and bolts of, some of the blocking and some of the more technical aspects that we were newbies on. But I mean, Jad and I are both like photographers. We know what frames we like, and we're huge film nerds. So I don't know. We just waited till we saw something that we liked, and then we moved on to the next thing.
It's pretty inspiring that
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend doing it.
what you're doing.
Doing a feature as a first, yeah. Everyone tried to talk us out of it, but yeah.
Yeah, that is incredible. So I saw that you both had multiple crew roles too. Nice. Any other questions here? Yeah.
For both of you, what's next?
Great question. Yeah, that's a good. I don't know. That's a good whatever happens. I'm not. I have nothing. Do you have a job that I can? No, I mean it's we.
You don't have something else rolling right along.
Oh, at least in terms of spare parts, we talked about doing making something longer, which is something that is written. It's all about doing the brush strokes and building the things. So, if that ever happens, maybe I'll be back, John. Maybe I'll. But yeah.
Yeah, I think our first goal is to get like our credit scores back up. No, I mean we've talked ad nauseum about what's next. I mean it's so addictive, especially after you get over the fatigue of having made the thing finally. But this is our world premiere. I'm not somebody that can fit two things in my brain at the same time. So we're gonna take this thing as far as we can take it, and then we'll see what's next. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, we got one more.
How, for Battersea, really for any of you guys, my question is, how much of yourselves did you put into this film? I mean, I know inevitably a lot of yourself gets put into your art, but I'm curious, dealing with pretty deep and heavy and profound topics, and in Battersea, some of them pretty like philosophical and thinking about life and fate and all of those things. Curious, where did you draw that inspiration from?
I think this is a quick answer. I mean, Jad and I are the same in that we lack imagination, like truly. So, like Jad said earlier, it is an amalgamation of just mostly lived experience, and then here and there where you need to stretch and bend reality to make the story more interesting or more compelling, we did those things.
Yeah, I mean, we like, as I said, TJ's a poet, and I have, written essays and things like that. So we have all these ideas in our head, and that was sort of how can we stitch all these things together? So yeah, I'd say it's like we poured each of ourselves into both characters, and like there isn't like a one-to-one, like there's, one is not a facsimile of, it really is just like we sort of vomited all of our things out into both characters.
It's fun to find a new medium, like the bird story at the end. I've been trying to write a poem about that for like 5 years, and I couldn't write a good one. And finally, we were kind of struggling with this little piece of the script, and I'm like, let me just try to get it in the script.
Yeah.
Became the end of the movie.
Well, I think that our second robot at the end is named Bits, so it's parts and bits, or bits and parts. But of course, the poor guy can't talk, so we don't get there. But we just called them that in our files. And I had an artist. She asked me, Gabe, did you have a bit? And I said, well, no. I go, but I said I think everyone has like a bit, like someone that you would walk a good deal, even if it doesn't really mean a whole lot in the end. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I think for both of your teams, I just can't believe that these are your first projects. I mean, they look so polished, and the writing in Battersea is just the dialogue is so mature, and it's just so I don't know, it's just hard to believe that that it's your first film, and I think that it's a filmmaking in general has just improved so much. Like 10 years ago, if it's someone's first film, but it's not so much the case anymore. I think there's so many more tools available to you to be able to learn the skills that you need to learn, and to just take those visions that you have and make them real and make it look like a finished product at the same time. So, I'm so glad that you've taken advantage of that. And like the Spare Parts looks like a Pixar film to me. I mean, it just it's hard to believe that it's student animation. So yeah, I mean, it's just a commentary on the state of the world, I guess, of how far things have come, and in the way that artists can develop now. It's great to see. Okay, well, thank you guys again so much for coming. Congratulations on the premiere.